Good morning. Thanks for tuning in here to NL Mornings. Jeff Andreas with you. Now, we're getting set for the latest round of inductees at the Kamloops Sports Hall of Fame. And one of the individuals heading in there is Randy Nelson. Having lived in Kamloops since back in 1991, born and raised on a farm in southern Saskatchewan, but moving here to take up the athletic mantle. He's a curler, among many other things, a runner as well. He joins me now on the line. Hey, Randy, how you doing here today?
I'm doing fine.
Well, appreciate you joining me here, and maybe take me through your journey to Kamloops first and foremost. How did young Randy Nelson make his way out to BC?
Well, it started a long time ago. I went to school in a little town called Hodgeville, Saskatchewan. Went to Saskatoon College and took in the field of conservation officer. Worked for a year there and moved out to BC as a fishery officer and worked throughout BC, up north for a number of years, Terrace, Quesnel, New-Anche, Powell River on the coast, and then to Kamloops since 1991.
And I guess as soon as you got here, you probably were saying, okay, I got to get into some sports. How do I go about doing that?
Well, I was into sports before that. I started running, but I was in all sports as a kid, but I started running when I was 22 years old, just after I got married, and had put on a whopping 10 pounds because my wife is such a great cook, and decided to take up running, and I had no idea I was going to get serious at it. But 45 years later, I've had quite a long running career, and curling as well. Both sports have been very good to me.
Yeah, so you were running before you moved here. Were you curling before you moved here as well?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I've been curling since I was about 8 years old. And,
okay.
Ran in high school too, but not seriously till I moved out to BC in about 1978.
Yeah, given kind of Saskatchewan in the 70s and 80s, I'm picturing you in an old barn, frozen pond, corn brooms going on back there. Is that correct, or am I way off base?
No, you're bang on. You're bang on, and. What was really funny is a farm boy who liked to run down the road was considered a bit odd unless his truck was broke down. Just running was not. I was really looked at rather oddly as being a runner. It was not a cool thing.
Well, let's talk about some of the running because, you have had quite a bit of success, and it is one of those hobbies, I think, that people sort of start doing maybe as something to get in shape or just a way to, burn off some energy, and you realize, what it does to your psyche and your mentality and how much fun it can be when you get that, quote-unquote runner's high and all that stuff. So you said you weren't really planning to get into it very seriously, and then all of a sudden you did. Your first road race back in August 10th, 1980, setting a course record on the King of the Mountain Trail Run in Terrace, BC, and I guess it just took off from there.
It did, and what's odd is I love running mountain trails. Being from the flatland, I don't know, maybe it's just the challenge of it or whatever, but yeah, my first race, I had no idea that I was fast until I actually ran a couple of races. And I have that mental attitude where at every race I ever ran, I crossed the finish line and I'd immediately be thinking about how I could get faster.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a long road, but I raced for 35 years competitively, and had a lot of success. It's a great sport to get into. Any sport is great to get into as long as you do it regularly.
Yeah, can you give me maybe your personal runner's highlight here? Because you got 15 medals in events in the World Police and Fire Games. You've ran half marathons. I'm sure you've ran full marathons. Lots of 10Ks. Is there one thing that kind of stands out in your running career as a personal highlight?
Oh, there's a whole number. I ran in the mini Y triathlon on a team with my daughter. We won that 10 years in a row. She was a swimmer. Those are fun. One of my favorite races is the Grouse Grind. In the World Police Fire Games back 2009, I think it was. I was living in Vancouver for a few years, and I trained on that grind trail. And it's a 3-kilometer trail, but it climbs 900 meters. I don't know if you've ever done it, but it's called Nature's Stairmaster. And they had a race on that, and I won a gold medal in that. And that was a highlight. There's a few that stand out. My very first run ever was at the age of 14. It was a walkathon in Saskatchewan, and I entered that with no intention of running. I wore my leather work boots and blue jeans and went out and won that. So there's so many I look back on. Marathons. I've done 10 marathons over the years. Went in somewhere between 200 and 250 road races, and I love to race. That's the highlight. Every race is a highlight.
Yeah, I could only imagine, especially when you have so many accolades to go through. We just don't have time to name them all off. I got to at least touch on the curling career here as well. This is a pretty cool one. In the year 2000, 115 games you were curling in. You mountain biked and cross-country skied in addition to running 22 other races, and you ended up winning Male Athlete of the Year for Kamloops in the year 2000. So I just wanted to highlight that because that was a pretty phenomenal year as an athlete in the tournament capital. But of course, we also got to mention in 2006, you were in the Brier. So where does your curling highlights land? There's a whole whack of those as well.
Oh, yeah, I've been so fortunate to play with some great curlers. And the Brier in 2006, played with Brian Windsor as a skip, Dennis Graber and Bill Johnson. And that was an incredible experience. It was like being a rock star for a week. Just the Brier was amazing. And then the next year after that, I played with Rick Folk in seniors, 50 plus. We went to nationals in that as well, came in third. I played with Pat Ryan in masters, which is 60 plus. And of course, more recently in 2011, they allowed fishery officers to play in the police curling championships. And since then, I've played with Dale Hockley, and we've won nationals 5 times. And we're defending champions, and that's where I have to go next week.
Well, yeah, let's just quickly touch on that. You're not going to be able to attend the banquet, unfortunately, for the Kamloops Sports Hall of Fame because you got some pretty cool prior commitments. Where are you off to? I know you just touched on it, but maybe give me the quick rundown of what's going on here this weekend and the week ahead.
Yeah, it starts curling on Saturday in Whitby, Ontario. And I play with team Dale Hockley out of Chilliwack and Glenn and Dan Brennan, 2 brothers who are great curlers. And what's kind of fun about this team is we are the oldest team by a long country mile. And we just keep winning. And you look at the other teams we're playing against, there's some very competitive teams. Team out of Saskatchewan, a guy that's lost the final 5 times to go to the Brier. There's some top-level curling, and our average age is 67 years old. It's just fun to beat young people. You just don't feel old if you just keep winning.
Yeah, youthful exuberance is good, right? But experience is still better.
Yeah, and what gives us for personally, even though I'm in my late 60s, the running background gives you a fitness level that most curlers don't have, and that just makes the game so much easier. We have a lot of fun too. It's a pretty special team we have. We've been to, we've won it 5 times, got second once, and been at it 11 or 12 years in a row. So it's a fun event.
Well, Randy, you have a great story that we barely even scratched the surface on, but unfortunately I've kept you long enough. So I thank you so much for joining me, and congratulations on the induction into the Kamloops Sports Hall of Fame, and best of luck curling here this upcoming week.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's Randy Nelson making his way into the Sports Hall of Fame this weekend. Yeah, the Sports Hall of Fame and Kamloops Sports Council invite you to join the 31st annual ceremony taking place this Saturday at the Colombo Lodge. This year, the Kamloops Sports Hall of Fame inducting a total of 3 individuals and 1 team. Randy Nelson, one of those individuals. Now, he relayed a few stats to me, which we missed in the interview, so I just want to go over them really, really quickly. He mentioned to me the amount of time he spent running. 116,000 kilometers he has ran over the course of his road races and competitions. He equaled that to about 9,000 hours of running, or if you want to convert that into work hours, that's worth about 4.5 years of being on the job based on a 40-hour work week. When you go to his curling aspects, 3,500 games curled, 3.5 years worth of work time, and he felt the need to tell me about all the calories burned. He said about 100 calories burned per 1 mile, 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. He has burned about 2,071 pounds of fat over the course of his athletic career. So there you go. Some fun facts on Randy Nelson, who will be inducted into the Kamloops Sports Hall of Fame this Saturday.